Greetings, folks. Hello. Today is November 24th. I've been continuing the work of Joe DeSantis, and I just see a squirrel. And yeah, it's been a blessing for me, and the transformation I'm undergoing. I don't expect anything to happen overnight, miraculously, but little changes here and there, and blessings here and there to show that the divine consciousness is definitely real, and all we need to do is tap into that energy. So I say that to say this. Friday, my wife had 2 appointments, one for a gynecologist and for a follow-up to a mammogram. And the first appointment was for a gynecologist, and they did a ultrasound, and they found a cyst about 11 centimeters. And then the follow-up to a mammogram, they thought they saw something that could be cancerous, so they had to bring her back in. And lo and behold, it wasn't cancerous, it was calcification, because through the imaging they did it from different angles, and they saw that it was changing in size. Now, if it wasn't changing in size, then they knew it would be cancerous, so that eliminated that. But she has to go back every 6 months to get that checked. Now, with the cyst on her right ovary, she called me in, and maybe not called me in, but she called me by phone, and a bit concerned. But here's the thing: she wasn't feeling anything until after we started doing the meditations together, and she started her period as well, and that's when she pretty much started feeling the pains and cramps that she's never felt during her her menstrual cycle, and so it's been for her, it was something new, and she knew something was troubling. Once again, this is when she started doing the meditations with me, right? And so when she called me on the phone, I told her what we needed to do. We need to get a real image of what her ovaries look like, and how big that cyst was, and we just need to visualize that, and through our meditation, of course, that it shrinks in size and totally be removed or gone. And today I would like to let what I'm talking about, the topic of what I'm speaking on, be about wholeness, because that's what we need in order to heal. We need to be able to feel whole and be whole before healing can begin. And I tell you that because the one thing for me was that I couldn't walk, and I had to walk with a walker or be in a wheelchair, and I couldn't stand, and I like cooking, and I'm always doing stuff, and the one thing is that I couldn't do it. And it wasn't, I started doing the meditations and stuff like that, and putting in that work, and lo and behold, I started noticing, like I told you, the day before my wife's birthday, I started getting feeling back in my legs, and I can stand for longer periods of time. And little by little, I just started seeing it just started to go away. And I wasn't thinking about it, I was just doing. Like, I couldn't even drive a car. I had my niece take me to go pick up my daughter, who has a permit, but not a driver's license, not old enough yet. And she would stop by after school, and we'll go pick up, my girls. And I don't know, it was just something that clicked, that I was like, I can do it. And then I started doing it. And once I realized that I can do it, I wasn't thinking of it any longer. It wasn't a limitation, should I say. And I don't think we should limit ourselves. I think limiting ourselves, I heard Joe Dispenza say this, limiting yourself, you limit the blessings that you receive, or you stop the blessings that you receive. And once I unconsciously decided that, hey, I could walk and I can do all these things, and it's no longer a concern to me. The tightness was still there. The numbness was gone, but the tightness was still there. Eventually, the tightness started to dissipate and go away, little by little, different areas of my legs. Now, today, I still have the tightness in my hands, both my hands. The feelings, it's hard for me to really fine motor skills and touch things. It feels like my hands are swollen, both my hands. And I still have tightness around my torso, my upper torso. But when I woke up this morning and, thinking about what my wife was going through and knowing what she knows what I'm going through and how dedicated I am to this process and my journey of reversing my diagnosis or trying, meaning I'm all the way in this to win it this time around. I know she can do it, and so this is for folks out there who feel that they're limited in their abilities. Never feel limited. Once again, there's no limitation. And I tried posting a video earlier that got blocked. Not blocked, but a video that got lost because when I was recording it, I think I was using up too much space on my phone. And I just lost it. I won't take too long explaining that, but the video, I was unable to put it on YouTube and I lost the video. But in that video, I was discussing a dream that I had, and I believe it was around the 12th or maybe the 13th of November. I can't recall. But in that dream, before dreaming, I was meditating at night before I went to bed. And I was having one of the worst meditations. I can't even say it was a worst meditation. It was actually a pretty good meditation, but I was not being focused. My thoughts kept going off, and I kept trying to pull myself back into it. It was a constant battle that day. And then finally, I drifted. I don't even know where I drifted to because I couldn't hear the guided meditation of Joe Dispenza in my ears. So next thing you know, I hear like a shower or water pouring, right? Rain. It sounded more like a shower. And then I felt water on my hand, my right hand, which alerted me to wake up. But my eyes never opened up. And then next thing you know, I know when I drifted off, the last thing I can recall was moving from the third energy center to the fourth. But when I became alert again, it was going from the 7th to the 8th energy center. From the 6th to the 7th. And I finished the meditation and I went to sleep. I woke up around 4 o'clock, used the restroom, and then I went back to sleep. Now, somewhere between 4 o'clock and 5:30, I had this crazy, crazy dream. And I say that because it's all going to make sense, because later that day it all pulls together for me. So in that dream, I am actually, I'm taking a shower, and I'm back in Brooklyn. I'm probably 11, somewhere between the ages of 11 and 13 years old. And I'm taking a shower in the front bathroom. Where I lived had upstairs and downstairs. I finish the shower. I get out. I see that the door is open. I see my shadow. I see that I have an erection. So I start masturbating. Then I hear voices that sounds like it's coming from the television, and I assume that someone's coming in or coming downstairs. So I try closing the door. It would not close at all, right? It was still ajar just a little bit. And I go back inside of the shower, close the shower curtain. And then all of a sudden, it's like I'm starting to descend, like go through or fuse through the floor. Not the floor opening up, but me, my body is just dropping straight through the floor. Right? And I'm going down into other apartments, but it seems like I'm seated down. And all I know is that something was holding me down from my neck down. So my head was able to move, but I couldn't move any other parts. And I'm dropping fast, like a roller coaster, like going straight down. Then we come to an abrupt stop. It turns around, and then it propels me forward. So I'm going forward through these apartments. And the funny thing is I live on the 3rd floor, so there was no apartments underneath me. All the apartments was above me. We lived on the 3rd floor, which was the 1st floor for all apartments. So I'm going through all these apartments, bathrooms, living rooms, dining rooms, and it's all going fast. And then it comes to an abrupt stop where it seems like we're outside and it's pitch black. Then we started to descend, but at a decline. I started to decline, and I noticed that there was a person in front of me going in the decline. I can see past my feet, but I didn't see my feet. Excuse me. And there's a conveyor belt going from right to left. The guy drops off into the conveyor belt, and I could see that he's wrapped up from his neck down. You can only see his head, so I'm assuming that was me too. I got off whatever I was on before I got dropped down to the conveyor belt, and I broke free somehow. Don't know how I did it, I just know I did it. And I wanted to see where the conveyor belt was taking this gentleman, young kid. So I get to the edge and I look to the left and I see that he's dropping down into like a pit of fire. So from that point, I turn around and I'm like, I gotta get out of here before they capture me. And I'm hearing voices like, there he is. And I see like these infrared lights that you would normally see on a camera, those little dots. And I see 2 sets of them. And there's a big old black wall, just a wall. So I float up the wall and I run along the top of the wall. And as I'm running, I see on the ground a gentleman and a lady and a gentleman. The man was first and the lady was off to the side a bit, but behind him. I jumped down. I got past him, but it didn't look like he was trying to attack me. It was the lady who pulled out some device and she tried zapping me with this device, this electronic or electromagnetic device or something, and barely touched me, but when it touched me, I felt it take some of my energy. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to. I knew I wasn't going to be able to float away fast enough. So as I'm running and trying to move, I run into this building. It's a huge building, gray building, and it had like these signs. It was like a huge sign that probably came out from the building, maybe like 3 feet from the building. Neon signs, and I see another lady there. She pulls out the same device and then tries to zap me as well. Anyway, long story short, I tried floating up the wall, but I knew I couldn't do it fast enough, so I had to use my hands to help propel me to get up. And while she's trying to zap me and I'm moving with my hands, like scaling up the wall, floating. And then I fused through the sign, the neon sign. And like literally I went through my body, just fused through it, like it went through it. And for some reason the electrical current gave me power. And next thing you know, I propelled myself up the building, and then I jumped on top of the roof. And as I start running towards the opposite end of the roof from where I was at, I had a thought like, why the fuck am I running? I am powerful. And then I turned around. As I turned around, the whole entire roof, floor, and everything from my point of view, it turned into like a bunch of geographical signs, like geographical shapes coming together with this humming sound. And in the middle of it all, it was like forming a face, and I'm looking at it like, what the fuck is that? And I'm trying to identify what is it trying to say? Or what is it trying to look like when it's time to come together? And as I focused more, I saw more of a face, but I couldn't identify the face. And then all of a sudden, it just exploded outward. And I woke up. I was like, whoa, that was a crazy dream, right? So immediately I made the two connections when I told my wife about the water, me doing my meditation and drifting off, and then hearing the water in my ear as like a shower, and then feeling it on my right hand. And then that dream began with me being in a shower. So doing my normal routine, turned on YouTube, did my morning meditations at first, turned on YouTube, watched Joe Dispenza, and then I turned on the TV, I'm watching videos I've already seen before, how they show the next clip of what's next, and then he's being interviewed by this lady, and a new interview I've never seen before, and she asked him a question in regards to beings, I guess being communicating with different beings and different conscious minds. And so he answered the question while he was doing a lecture at one of the events. And, everyone, he was meditating, and he was visited by, I think he said 12 beings. And so the kicker for me at that point was when he said that the beings were very interested in the work that he was doing, and they wanted to communicate, but he asked Joe, can you please have your audience raise their frequency so that we can continue to communicate, because we like what you're doing, but we don't want to lower our consciousness in order to communicate with your audience. We love ourselves too much to do that. And this is what Joe Dispenza said, Dr. Joe Dispenza said. And when he said that, it hit me hard. And I'll explain that in part 2 of this video. But then he went on to say started talking about fractal patterns and the sounds and how they were information. So when I looked up what a fractal pattern was, that was the geometrical shapes that I had in my dream that same morning. Before watching that video, I didn't know it was a fractal pattern. I'd never heard the term before. Honest to God's truth, I've never heard the term before. So when I saw it, I was like, wow, that's exactly what I saw. And I heard the sound along with it. And he said that was information. Crazy. Had no clue. But I knew there was a picture in the middle of that, and I just couldn't see the face. But I said to myself, remember before that fractal pattern, I said, I am powerful. Like, what the fuck am I running for? I am powerful. And then all that started to take place with the fractal patterns. So I'm going to end this video here since it's almost 20 minutes, and I'm going to start part 2 of this. Because during that same interview, like I said, he mentioned about the beings, and the beings said the level of consciousness was too low, and we don't want to lower our consciousness to communicate with you. We like what you're doing, so please get your audience to raise their frequency so we can communicate. And I'm going to tell you about a dream that I had in 2014.